But of course, right outside of our studios, we're just seeing some really cold rain, Kendra.
Oh, Margaret Ann, and you're right, because I've been complaining about how miserable it is outside. It is a cold rain, but no winter weather anymore. I'm still standing on what's left of a little bit of sleet and rain mix, so that's going to make some things slick on those upper raised surfaces like your decks, your railings, your stairs. So be careful. Nothing's frozen over, but because we had that winter weather earlier, there could be some slick spots. Beth Brotherton putting it perfectly about how the concern for roads goes in this county. And luckily, we've stayed above freezing surface temperature wise, and that has kept things from freezing over. So very glad to hear that reports are good from Greenville County. My daughter is certainly disappointed, but you know, you deal with what you got to deal with. But it was an exciting morning to see that snow come down. It was unexpected in the forecast. Temperatures were very borderline, and essentially what happened, the upper level temperatures were very cold. They got pulled down to the surface as the precipitation came down, and that helped to create that snow and sleet. Computer models don't always handle that so well, and that's one of the reasons why we ended up with a few hours of wintry precipitation when we expected that cold rain. But as soon as that winter weather started falling, we began our team coverage, because I know this caught a lot of folks off guard, and I'm glad to report issues in the upstate are minimal, but of course there are some issues in the mountains and the higher elevation spots in the upstate. So I'll pitch it back to the studio for updates on that. But so far, Greenville area, it's just miserable, cold, and wet.
There you go, Kendra. 33 degrees and raining at the GSP airport and outside of where you are. So again, you really can't get more miserable feeling out there. Winds out of the northeast at 7 aren't helping at all. The rain is, as you saw, still very heavy. At the GSP airport, again, temperature just above freezing. We started this morning at about 39 degrees. Kendra mentioned when that heavy precipitation really gets going, it is able to pull down that colder air. Dynamic cooling really surprised us this morning, but the good news is that temperature stopped before it got any colder than 33 degrees. Otherwise, we'd had some real issues around here. Again, great news that we're starting to see that rain and snow line very, very slowly retreat to the north. It has been a very, very slow process in the last hour. I feel like it's basically stalled, but now it's moving. In fact, Spartanburg now in the green. So we're starting to see that slow transition toward the foothills of North Carolina. Rutherford County, Polk County, you're likely to see some pretty heavy snow continue to fall at least in the next hour. Snow rates are still pretty heavy out in Transylvania and Henderson County as well. Asheville, you've kind of been missed by this particular event, which is good news. The fewer people we have, the issues, the better. Down into the upstate, you can see most, if not all of us, dealing with a cold rain. Greenville getting soaked with the heavy showers out there, stretching down into Anderson as well and into northeast Georgia. The good news is that the Clemson and Easley areas are seeing some improvement in terms of the rain conditions out there. Some lighter showers still likely, but we're really looking at the far northern areas of Oconee and Pickens County with the heavier snow that's sticking around. Also into northern Greenville County, very near the Caesar's Head. I'm talking about areas north of South Carolina Highway 11, north of Slater, north of Marietta. But then the area that we're still watching that has been snowing now for a while is really into the Gaffney area, now stretching into Cleveland County near Shelby. Some very, very heavy snow there from Mayo and Spartanburg County up to near Blacksburg and then northward up towards Shelby and Forest City. Again, notice how Spartanburg County, the city limits of Spartanburg, starting to look a little bit better in terms of the wet weather. We've got just a plain rain there with temperature slowly starting to rise. But north of Spartanburg, we're looking at some pretty heavy snow continuing there. And then as we look at the rest of the upstate and into northeast Georgia, some of that back edge of the heaviest rain starting to move into the upstate. We should see some gradual improvement through the rest of the afternoon. Margaret Ann, Ted.